Welcome. It's Wednesday's Words once again, and we are on our second practice. We started last week talking about the first practice of rejoicing in Robert Morgan's book, Worry Less and Live More. Let's jump right into the second practice. It's found also in the book of Philippians. Paul said, rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. And then he said, let your gentleness be made known to all men. That is the practice we're going to try to put into practice this week in our lives as we practice the art of gentleness. The word gentle means really in the Bible the ability to stay calm in all our conflicts and kind in all our conduct. Listen to that again. The ability to stay calm in all our conflicts and yet kind in all our conduct. It is Jesus living through us because we're not like that on our own, Robert says. And I know that that's certainly true of me. Are you consistently pleasant, calm, and kind? Gentleness, someone said, should be made manifest in our eyes, in our facial expressions, our body posture, in our tone of our voices, and even in our subsequent actions. Most of you are probably like me. I can still hear my mother saying to me when I was younger and living in the home, she would often say sometimes, Paul, you better get that look off your face, meaning there's something going on inside you and your face is reflecting that, and I needed to be careful how I acted and be careful how I treated others. 4 benefits, Robert Morgan says, to this practice of gentleness. First of all, it reduces anxiety. When you read between the lines of Paul's epistles, you get the idea there were some people in that church that weren't very easy to get along with. He chastised 2 women and told someone to help them drop their feud and ask a mutual friend to help them. You also found in first chapter of Philippians, he said, whatever happens, conduct yourselves worthy of the gospel as if they weren't living right and in the right way that would reflect Christ. And then he says also do nothing out of selfish ambition, consider others more important than yourself. So there were people there who were not being very gentle and kind, and Paul took them to task. Helen Steiner Rice wrote a poem that reflects this so beautifully. It says, at the spot God placed you, begin at once to do little things that brighten up the life surrounding you. For if everybody brightened up the spot on which they're standing by being more considerate and a little less demanding, this dark old world would very soon eclipse the evening star. If everybody brightened up the corner where they are, we can brighten up our corner and help others around us if we'll practice gentleness this week. Then secondly, it not only reduces anxiety, it reflects Jesus Christ. There was never a time when Jesus was certainly out of control. He never lost any control of his words or his emotions. The default setting on Jesus of his personality was one of compassion, love, gentleness, and humility. He had a willingness to touch those around him with whom he came into contact. As a matter of fact, gentleness is found in the list of the fruit of the Spirit near the end, but it's there. It is a part of what we as believers, the Spirit of God that lives in us, it produces that gentleness for others. Most of the time, most of our stress and most of our anxiety comes when we're with our family. And isn't that true now? We're sheltered in place, and many times we speak harshly, we get angry, we argue, we yell and scream. We treat them unkindly and not with gentleness. None of that, though, reflects the personality of Jesus Christ. In Colossians 3, Paul said, therefore, as God's chosen people, arm yourselves or clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Are you being gentle to those with whom you're sheltered in place? Are you being gentle with those around you whom you work with? We need to practice gentleness in this day and age, certainly. And then thirdly, not only does it reduce anxiety and reflects Christ, it gets things done. 2 passages from the book of Proverbs. Proverbs 25 says, through patience a ruler can be persuaded, and a gentle tongue can break a bone. Did you hear that? A gentle tongue. One of the softest parts of our body is the tongue, and it is so important that if it's gentle, it can be more rigid than a bone. Listen to how the New Century Version says this verse. A gentle word can get through to the hard-headed. And then in Proverbs 15:1, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. There was a man in my church, in a previous church that I served, who was this way. His countenance and his spirit was so gentle. And anytime someone said anything harmful or harsh to him, never did he respond in an unkind way, but with a gentle answer. And it certainly was able to diffuse any kind of conflict. John Wooden, the great basketball coach from UCLA, after observing his father, said this: "It takes strength inside to be gentle on the outside." The art of gentleness, practicing that this week. And then finally, it pleases the Lord. Gentleness does. Paul says, or Peter says in 1 Peter 3, "Your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as elaborate hairstyles." I like this verse. "And the wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight." Now, when you and I trust Christ as Lord and Savior of our lives, we begin to change. He begins to change us and keeps improving us as long as we're on the earth. And a gentle spirit reduces our stress, reflects Christ, gets things done, and it pleases the Lord. I hope you'll practice gentleness this week, as long with practicing rejoicing. Rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. Let your gentleness be made known to all men. God bless you. See you next week.